We have the pleasure tonight of hearing from Dr. Randy Boyle. Randy is you've been here 2 years? Just one?
It seems longer.
Well, okay, but we met a year and a half ago at least during the interview process. And I appreciated Randy from the moment we met. And we still have these little sidebar conversations. He'll stop in and bring the latest, greatest, and I'll live off that for a while. We talk IT, and it's fantastic. But Randy is at another level, and you're going to get to experience that tonight. Randy is a textbook author, security guru, lack of a better term, and he's just got a great way of presenting. I hope you enjoy it. He's actually teaching in the MBA program. He'll teach an elective for us. It's part of the IST certificate this fall. And we're offering it in a unique way. We're not doing it in the hybrid. We're going to actually have it over the full 15-week semester so that it's high-level undergrads and MBAs talking security. And how many apps will people work on?
The reason we do it is
Tools.
because it goes about 200 pieces of software.
Yeah.
So if you compressed it into a short format, it would almost kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, we already have one of those classes, so we don't need another one. Yeah. So let's turn the time over to Randy. I just appreciate him taking the time to be here. He's been working through the nights writing his books, his textbooks, so I really appreciate him taking this time. Gary, you had a question?
I'll ask after. It sounds like we're ready to go.
Okay, yeah. Sounds good. All right. Do you want a remote?
Hello? Is it too dark? Y'all gonna fall asleep? Okay, like Professor Matt said, my name's Randy Boyle. I'm originally from Ogden, Utah. Can you believe that?
So far.
What's that?
That's so far away.
It's been a long trip. I haven't lived in Ogden in 23 years. We just moved from the state of Virginia. I lived in before that. Before that, I was in Salt Lake for a few years. I taught at the U for a few years, and then I taught in Alabama for a few years before that, and then Florida before that, Florida State. Anybody go to Florida State?
State of Florida.
Not state of Florida. Go no, but I love Ogden. I actually got my first 2 years of college at Weber State. So I love Weber State. It's a great school, and this is why we decided to come back here. I love Weber State a lot. You get a great education. I have literally been all over this country and taught at many different schools, and you really get a great education for a very reasonable cost at Weber State. The undergrad institution I came from, I think they were at $25K a year for undergrad, which is a lot. And half of them were getting worthless degrees. You couldn't even get employed after you left. So Weber State is a really great school. The students are really friendly. The faculty are really nice. So I really love being here. We're going to go over a short little presentation about the target data breach, but maybe I'll show you some stats first. Is that okay? And please ask any questions relevant to the discussion at any time. Okay? This is me. I write lots of textbooks. I'm working on one now. Oh, I'm 2 days away. If I can work 2 all-nighters, but I'll be done. I mean, if I can just push through. I do 3 all-nighters a week, including days. But if I got 2 more, it's been like 2 months I've been working on it, so I'm really close. I do cybersecurity, networking, information systems. My area of research is data breaches. I do presentations to lots of different industry groups, FBI, InfraGard, lots of different types of places. I heard you had someone from IHC last week, is that right? Mm-hmm. Make sure you tell me what he said. I'm really interested.
You did attend the FBI.
Did he?
Seminar, yeah.
With me there? Did he say he heard me?
He was still processing.
He was processing. That's a little overwhelming. But yeah, it was. There's a big IHC consortium that actually goes to the InfraGard. InfraGard's a organization that sits between the FBI and civilian organizations. You go to InfraGard; it's really interesting. But this is an email I got when I was at professor in Virginia. This came from the governor's office saying, "Oh, we lost all your information." This was at the Anthem data breach. Who heard of the Anthem data breach? Was anybody in the Anthem data breach? Oh! Only 2 people in here? What industry did your company? Was it private insurance or through your company?
No, it was through my company.
Oh, was it through your company? What industry? Don't tell me the company, just the industry.
I was government contractor.
Government contractor? What industry were you?
Actually, cybersecurity.
Oh, that's the whole state of Virginia had Anthem coverage, so that was the main state provider. So every educator in the entire state, whether you were at preschool, high school, or college, every single educator lost everything. Isn't that sad? I remember the day we were going, I was actually gonna give a presentation on cybersecurity education to a large cybersecurity group in Virginia, and there's lots of cybersecurity people in Virginia, tons everywhere. So I was in Richmond in this parking lot, and I was sitting in the parking lot, and I see the Anthem thing pop across, and it wasn't the news that got me. It was the head people at the university were emailing me. It was the assistant to the president of the university saying, "Hey Boyle, do we have to be worried about this?" And I went, "Ah." And then I went to the security sites and I started reading about it while I'm sitting in the car waiting to go into the presentation. And I start reading about it and I go, yes, this affected everybody. It looks like everybody in the whole state lost everything. And then I look up and I look around and guess what? Do you know who else was in the parking lot? I'm going to give a presentation to security researchers, right? Guess who's sitting in their cars on their phones?
Your audience.
The whole audience. So the whole parking lot was full of people like this in the parking lot answering these furious emails to everyone in the organization. Because even the federal government, and everyone had lost their medical records. So we all walk in there going, ah. Because what's going to happen the rest of the day? You're going to spend your whole day responding emails, calming people down. So the whole day was just a total mess. And I walk in, and I'm supposed to give this presentation on the state of cybersecurity education in the United States. And it was really sad, yeah.
When you get a chance, maybe you'll do it later in your presentation, can you kind of go over your disaster, like what happens when that happens? Like what do you do?
Sure, absolutely, yeah. We actually have a whole chapter on it in the security class, but yeah, we can go over that, for sure. Mostly you just sit there in shock and you handle emails for like the first hour. Honestly, that's what you do because the C-level people start shooting you emails and saying, should we be worried about this? And you go like, yes, you have to notify every single user and tell them to immediately change their. So first you send out everybody calm down. Yes, you lost everything. Please go change all your, and then you have to tell them, yes, please sign up for the identity theft. My wife signed up for it. So you have to go through all these mitigation steps immediately. But we'll go into more depth here in just a second. But anyway, 80 million people. 25% of the entire population of the United States. Is that little or big? That's big. 1 out of every 4 people in the United States. That's a lot of people. Almost everybody in the room. I said, how many people have heard of the Anthem data breach? And it just got released the night before. I mean, it was like 11:30 at night when it started popping up first. And this was like 8 in the morning when there was security, and 90% of people knew that their entire organization had lost everything. Do you know who was super happy that day? A friend of mine who's the regional rep selling DLP, data loss prevention software. He sells DLP stuff. He's like, woohoo! I bet you he cracked his annual nut 5 times over in 1 day. Right? He sells the enterprise software that prevents data leaks. I bet you he cracked his nut. Because is he going to sell to Anthem? Probably. But who's he also going to sell to?
Everyone else.
Everybody else. I can show you who he is. He works for Symantec. He just sells DLP stuff, data loss prevention. And I sent him an email. I was like, "You sucker! Have you seen this?" He's like, "Yes, I'm making millions and millions this year. Personal income, his personal income was millions and millions of dollars." Everyone was heartbroken, and I knew this Symantec guy was making literally millions of dollars per day off of this. And then, a couple weeks later, these suckers lost another 11 million. Who got a notice from LinkedIn last couple weeks that you have to go in and change your? See? Almost everybody in here that's on LinkedIn, or if you're not on LinkedIn, you should be. Within the last couple weeks, I was sharing with Matt, they've lost 500 million records between LinkedIn, Tumblr, and a couple other major sites. They lost 500 million records. So, what's that? And then today, did you guys see the announcement? Who bought LinkedIn? Microsoft bought them. Why would they announce it today? Of all days, why today? It's all strategic. What's going on today, right now, in California?
WWDC.
Who said that? Yeah. What is that for the people that don't know what it is?
Worldwide Developer Conference. It's Apple's software release.
So Apple's having their big birthday party. They're like, "Yay, we're so great!" They announced the new OS for their Apple device, right? Who saw this? Mac OS, right? Is what it's not going to be OS X anymore. It's going to be Mac OS, and the new version, I think it's called not San Joaquin, Sierra. Sierra is their new. So they're announcing all their new things. Well, what does Microsoft do? Oh, by the way, we're a great company too. We just acquired LinkedIn. Samsung does the same thing when Apple goes to announce their new devices. So they all try to hit each other. So this is the big fight day today. It's an IT nerd fight. You guys didn't know today was the big nerd fight, did you? It's when all the nerds get out and fight today. So you can always count on big notices from all the nerd companies today. And then in the fall there'll be another big one. I got this screen grab just before coming to class. This is a great site to go to if you want to show C-level people the types and the severity of data breaches that occur. It's called, I put a little link down here. Information is beautiful. Just type in major data breaches. It'll pop up. And this is a dynamic graph. As you hover over, it'll get bigger and it'll show you how many, and it'll link to a news article about this thing. How many people here knew eBay lost 145 million? And what's the population of the United States? 320. Close enough? Perfect. Let's just say 350. Is it okay if we round up? We're not making rockets. What you need to do is get an idea is, this is about half the US population, right? So half the people in this room would have lost your username and password. Is that a big one? This one was really bad, and I can't find a single human soul other than myself that knows about it. You know they lost a voter database for the United States? With 100 million people in it? It was supposed to be cleansed and held secretly on a researcher, but they totally swiped it out. You lost everything. It was nuts. That's one we're going to talk about today. You know that every single Turkish person in the world lost all their information? Last year, every single citizen in Korea lost all of their information. Do you know that? Twice. You're like, oh, that's not very many, 49 million. Well, how many Turks do you think there are? There's not that many Turks. That's every single Turkish person in the world. My wife lost, that anthem represents the 4th time my wife has lost her medical records. When I taught at the University of Utah, she lost them twice. It happens all the time. Who's been involved in a data breach that you know of? Very good. Some of you. Where would you go to find out if you were in a data breach? There we go. We'll teach one useful thing today. You ready?
What is Charlie Levitt's social security number?
What's that?
Don't need to search that, I got it memorized.
It's called, whoops. Have I been on? Should we see if I'm in this? Yeah. I asked my mom if she's ever had her data breached. She goes, I don't even know what that means. Oh. Let's use my address from University of Utah. Is that okay? I hope it's not in the Ashley Madison one. I hope it's not. Is it wrong to pray in class? Oops, oh, I did it wrong. Who lost my stuff? Adobe, you filthy rats! LinkedIn, oh, I just want to kick you in the LinkedIn. How many people know, how many of you knew that Adobe lost 150 million? I asked people, and they're like, no, I didn't know that. 150 million? Are you sure you're right about that number? It doesn't sound right to me. 150 million? Is that a big number or a little number? They have no concept. Then I say, how many people in the United States? I don't know. I say, is there 1 billion people in the United States? Or how about 200 billion? They're like, yeah, that sounds more accurate. They don't know B's from M's. So when you say billions or millions, it makes no difference. Who else just put their information in? Who was in one? What were you in?
Adobe. And
Adobe?
LinkedIn and Tumblr.
Do not say Ashley Madison if you're in it. Do not say. How many people from Utah were in the Ashley Madison one?
Wow.
Utah, the percentage for Utah was actually quite small relative to other states.
Was DC the biggest?
Actually, Australia was the country with the most. I don't know what they're having the water in Australia, but they were huge. California, New York, Florida had the most. New Jersey had an inordinate number. Yeah.
So how come LinkedIn is, I've got LinkedIn, I use it, I'm in it, but I didn't lose it. I mean, I
Not
have
yet.
good news.
Not yet.
Right, so are they just going through, could I potentially lose it tomorrow?
Yes, sir. That's correct. Good job. When were these stolen? Long time ago.
15.
This is when it was reported. This is when it was stolen. Well, what in the world? These hackers are they're incompetent at their job.
4 years later?
Exactly. Incompetent. How can such smart people be so slow at releasing the data?
They're not using it now.
What's that?
They're not using it. So
That's correct. What do hackers use it for? They sell it, or the primary one is extortion. A lot of people go, well, they're stupid. Why didn't they release it before then? Because you don't understand how hackers work. Number one is extortion. You get in, steal something, then you say, if you don't hire me as a professional security consultant for $250,000 a year, I'm going to have to tell the public about all of your weak security practices. I live in Europe. Deposit the money to this bank account for the next 10 years, $250K for the next 10 years. Otherwise, I got to tell everyone how all these weaknesses in your product. Please email me back. By the way, here's a little sample. And you can see the extortion attempts every single week. I have hundreds and hundreds of databases, all extortion. But if it's credit card data, you package it and sell it. Verified credit cards go for about 78 cents. You can get debit cards, you can get full identities, like $20. Yeah.
If they're going for 78 cents, then why aren't they using, like my credit card's got I'm not going to say how much of a balance on it.
But millions.
Sure. Why isn't it hacked more often?
Very good. Who's ever stolen a credit card? Who's ever looked at pornography? See, no honesty in this class. No one's ever seen pornography, huh?
Wow.
Why, let's say I went out to every car in the parking lot, I smashed the windows out, and I started grabbing, and I got a whole stack of credit cards. What's my problem? Someone, what's my problem?
Well, you got expiration date, it rotates.
Okay, let's say I'm good on expiration dates.
Person's gonna cancel their card immediately.
Yeah, I've got a half-life on the card. As soon as they find out it's stolen, so I gotta hurry. It is a perishable good, just like food. I gotta hurry. Well, what else is my problem?
Signature.
What's that? Some may, but most credit cards won't.
They're gonna track you when you use it?
What?
They're gonna track you? Maybe?
Exactly. How? Exactly. So I've literally got my credit card. Where am I gonna go?
If they see 5 different stolen credit cards in the same place, that might be.
That's right. Well, I got to go to a business. I got to swipe my credit card, and guess what? They're going to see. They're going to see my face. If I buy it online, where am I going to get it shipped to? See the problem with stolen credit cards? Am I going to get it shipped to my home? Brilliant. Am I going to buy like 90 flat screen plasma TVs and have them all shipped to my home address?
Your neighbor's house.
Ship them to my neighbor. My neighbor's like, I'm rich. I'm rich. See the problem with stolen credit cards? That's why they're only 78 cents. So what you do, you find a moron, and you send all the stolen goods to the moron's house. Then you have him send them to your house. He's called a trans shipper. This guy named Bell in Florida, he was a trans shipper for a large Russian gang. Or you ship them to vacant homes that are nearby, and then when the packages come to the vacant homes, you drive by and pick up the goods. So stolen credit cards are problematic. Debit cards are okay. And so what if they steal your credit card? You know what your maximum federal liability is? By law.
0.
Nope. It's not 0. $50. Federal law. The maximum charge you can get charged on your credit card if it's stolen or anything, $50. And I've only heard of one person that had to pay the $50. Usually it's 0. Why? Because if you take a stolen credit card, swipey, who loses? Does Visa take the hit? You're on crack cocaine if you think Visa's taking the hit. You are get off the crack pipe. Who takes the hit? Who's ever worked for a business? Who takes the hit?
The merchant takes.
The merchant always takes the hit. This is what pisses off merchants and businesses. Does everyone know what the P word is? Mad. This is why if someone comes in, merchants don't want stolen credit cards. Because a person comes into my store, swipe, and I give him a microwave. He takes the microwave and the credit card comes back stolen. Guess what? I lose all the money. How does that work? Visa just deducts it from the money they were going to give me from credit card purchases anyway. Well, that sucks. Yep. It does.
So the question I have, and this goes to credit cards. Recently, the industry changed such that merchants had to adopt PIN and chip. So the whole
October
credit card
15th.
industry is going to this technology. It's more secure. And what I understand is that if a merchant doesn't utilize the PIN and chip, then they have liability for fraud. But
That's right.
what you're saying is
More
that
liability.
they have more. Okay, will it take us into the weeds if you explain what's changed there? Because it
Yeah.
sounds like they already had liability. Now they have more.
Yes, that is correct. So all the banks and the retailers got together and said, hey, we're going to do chip. It's called chip and pin. Really, in Europe and the rest of South America, it's chip and pin. So you put your card in, it has a little chip in it, and then you type in your pin. Well,
We're too lazy.
exactly. So I've got a whole bunch of credit cards here, and they're all chip, but one's chip and signature, and all the others are chip and pin. Guess which one I'm going to use? Signature. So that's why in the United States we have all chip and signature, not chip and pin, but everybody still calls it chip and pin, so we're just going to call it chip and pin. Is that okay? But we actually use chip and signature, not chip and pin, because none of the major credit card wanted to be the hardest card to use. No one wanted to be this. Yes, you can use your phone, but most people aren't savvy enough to enter their credit cards into their phones and make that happen. Well, October 15th came around. Look, I use America First.
Yeah, me too.
There's no chip on that. Many of them have been very, very slow, and they're dragging their feet. It's October, is a few months away. We're almost a year after the deadline. But it was a soft start. No one was holding a gun to anybody's head. But now, once the chip and pin cards are out, the liability shifts much more heavily onto the merchant if they don't verify it. So if I'm Target and Target swapped out, I think it was $200 million or $300 million to swap out all their devices, which we'll see. Now, if they do chips, Visa can't come back and hit them for money. Which merchant said, yay! Ooh, sucks that we got to put all these new machines in, and our customers are, who's used the stupid chip card? What's wrong with the chip card?
Well, I'll be honest, 9 times out of 10, you scan it and you're like, why the crap isn't it working? It's like, oh yeah, put it there, wait, take it out.
Seconds.
Doesn't work, you gotta swipe that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the initial frustration of having to relearn from this to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the other huge consumer problem is you got to leave it in there. And consumers do not like leaving that in there. And then it takes forever, and the industry knows this. And I know a person who just went to a conference, like, everybody knows customers are pissed off about this. And they don't like leaving it in there. They just want to go like that and hurry and get out of there.
I hate that beat. It sounds like you lost a game show every time that thing beeps.
Seriously, to me it sounds like my card was declined. You hear this, and I'm like, did it go through? You know?
So we need a new sound like ding, 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 ding.
Yes, absolutely.
Hold on, say it louder.
In my experience, it's not just the customers that are upset, it's a lot of the banks and the credit card companies, because when you convert over to the chip card, other than the actual process, you have to pay for each chip card that they.
Yeah. The chip cards are 10 to 20 times expensive as a regular plastic magnet card. Hold on just a
I
sec.
was just gonna say that I find it frustrating that it's not consistent. Every vendor I go to, well, it's broken or it's not working, we haven't implemented yet, or we have, you can't swipe anymore.
Yeah.
It's just very irritating.
Yeah.
That it's not all the same.
Very good.
So I have the chip and I put it in, I've never set up a pin, and it's certain stores I have to do the pin.
Oh, you do PIN too?
Well, I don't know the pin, so they override it.
Don't use the PIN if you don't know it.
Yeah, they override it. Like, oh, we'll just give it, and then all of a sudden they do this, and then.
It's supposed to be signature. Do not give your card to someone else to use. Yeah.
So I process credit card chargebacks, fraud chargebacks for Wells Fargo, and only about, so all of our corporate cards are chip and pin or chip and signature cards, but only about 30% of merchants have adopted chip terminals. So it's great for us because anytime one of our cards is used and there's fraud at a terminal where there isn't a chip reader, then we have the rights. So the higher security wins, and so it's been great for us, but bad for merchants.
And banks and merchants want the chip and PIN to work, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to stop a lot of the credit card theft that we're going to talk about here in just a minute. But there's a mechanical issue, and there's been some implementation problems. And
Question
then,
about, I went to a little thing, and one of the guys that was running this conference said it would be safer for you to write C picture ID instead of signature. Is that true, or is that?
I don't know. I always sign my signature as poop. I do. I go poop.
I think it actually ticks off people, because I started doing that. I think it ticks off the merchants more because
They don't know. What are you gonna do? Is that really your signature?
well, it says see picture ID on it, so then they have to say, oh, show me your picture ID, and I'm like, great, finally somebody asks. Nobody really asks.
So Visa
I don't know the answer to that for
Visa
sure.
and MasterCard, the regulations that they actually don't want you to look for ID. They want their card to be easier to use than cash. So they recommend people to not even bother with asking for ID.
Yeah. The big push is to put them on your phone, and the payment systems like Google Pay, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay. Every single device maker is actually registering to be their own bank. Google is their own bank. And they want you to put all your credit cards on one phone, tap and pay, and it solves a lot of problems.
How secure is it?
Very secure.
Is there one that you would recommend more?
No, I've actually been researching for this textbook, and they're so new. LG has their LG Pay. I mean, everybody's coming up with their own pay. I mean, we're going up the curve, not down the curve. I mean, the promises will peak sometime this year, next year on which payment system. Current C, the one promoted by Walmart and Target. Jeez Louise. I mean, it is a knife fight in there. Nobody wanted Apple Pay. Everyone was pissed off at Apple. who knows what's going to happen? You see the Samsung Pay commercials; they're getting a lot of. So I actually do not know. Wells Fargo, they have their own payment system too. They actually announced a year. Huh?
Like, yeah, mobile pay.
Mobile Pay, MasterCard, Visa. I don't know how it will shake out. It's too new. We'll take one more and then we got to go.
I think right now Samsung, just touched on that, Samsung's the only one that actually communicates through the magnetic strip reader.
Yeah.
So it works on a lot more devices, so that's what I would imagine would work.
Yep, that's what's great about Samsung Pay is if you come up to a reader that only has swipe technology, it generates a field that will actually work with the swipe reader. So you actually don't need to have the new one. That's pretty cool, but if the industry, I don't know.
Is it easy to copy?
Yeah, there's that.
I don't know what my phone generates.
But anyway.
That doesn't sound legit.
Okay, so let's give, the great thing about this Target data breach is the amount of information Target released about the data breach. Most companies are not this transparent. They do not tell you how the hackers broke in, how the information got stolen, how much information was stolen. They released a huge amount of information. Love Target for that. I really do. Most companies say, we're not telling you anything, and we may or may not have lost your records. Ooh, that is super aggravating as a consumer, and as a security researcher, I get exponentially aggravated. I want to hear all the dirt. But Target was great. So is this an example of why Target's a bad person? No, quite the contrary. We give Target super props for actually coming clean and saying, this is how they did it. Awesome, Target, thank you. I want to go shop at Target because of this. And it's counterintuitive. But companies that come out early and say, hey, we lost your data 2 weeks ago. Sorry, man. This is exactly how it happened. I'm mad at you, but okay, thanks for telling me. Right? Rather than, hey, 2 years ago, we lost everything, and we didn't want to tell you because we were worried you'd be mad. Oh, well, can you tell me how it happened? No, can't. Sorry, we totally dislike you. So this is great. So please do not think I'm disparaging Target in any way. They lost about 100 million records late 2013, so early 2014 is when we got notified about it. Happened right during the Christmas rush. It came from these machines. The malware was actually on the point of sale machines, the POS machines. Here is an ad for buying the stolen credit card information. You can go on to different sites and actually buy packages or bundles of stolen credit cards. We'll talk about how much. Well, this is how much they made. 53 million.
How do you get that number?
The researchers saw how much work. Researchers actually sit there and watch what's for sale, what got sold. Yeah.
So how many times do they resell the same information? If I was a hacker, had no morals, I'd sell it all day long, multiple times.
Yeah, they verify the data and they sell bundles of it. So works like drugs. Who's ever bought drugs? We gotta learn to be honest, otherwise this class is not gonna work. So let's say I go to buy drugs and I'm a drug user. But someone sells me half drugs, half baking soda. What's gonna happen? I'm not going to buy from them anymore, and I'm going to tell everyone, hey man, I bought a bunch of drugs from Boyle, and it was half drugs, half baking soda. If I buy a bundle of 500 credit cards, I'm going to say, that Boyle guy sold me 500 credit cards at 78 cents a pop, and only 100 of them were even valid when I went to access them. What's going to happen to that seller's reputation? Yeah. Yeah, so it's a reputational thing amongst hackers. Hackers know that they can get more money if they know, I'm a good drug dealer, I sell really good drugs, I sold drugs for a long time. If you buy my drugs, you're going to get real drugs, and those credit cards are really going to work. Aren't I a good drug dealer? It works exactly like credit cards. They want their credit cards to work, so they will not resell them over and over again. And they tell people, we've had these numbers for this amount of time, and they do a check on the credit card. So if you see a bunch of small charges like a quarter or $1 or $2, immediately call your credit cards in stolen, because these are verifications. They're trying to verify that the card's a valid card. So a verified card can go for like $1.89, over $2 a pop. Unverifieds are like 78 cents.
So I've recently seen a couple sites where they had money back guarantees, or if their card didn't work, they had like a $25 money back guarantee.
Well, for hacked
For
data.
hacked cards, yeah.
I believe it.
Like some
Yeah.
honor fees, I guess.
Yeah,
How many numbers are in a bundle?
300 to 500.
So, they're out here selling stolen cards. What is law enforcement, or who monitors this, or who does anything about it?
They can if they buy the cards. Then they can know where the cards came from and cancel all of them. But they have to pay the hackers the money. Thus,
So
the
they
extortion.
can't find the hacker.
They can, but they got to buy all the credit cards first. Oh, you mean physically find them?
Yeah.
They're out of Europe and Russia. Do you know it's against the Russian Constitution to extradite anyone outside of Russia for any crime? Written in the Constitution. So if I'm a Russian citizen, I can sit in Russia, steal all your stuff all day long, and there's nothing you can do about it. It is against the Russian Constitution to have me extradited for any crime. If I had a rifle long enough, I could shoot you from Russia, kill you, and I couldn't be extradited from it. You know what the Russian government says? Why? Dude, it's better than tourism. It's better than tourist dollars. What's that? You're boosting the economy. You're bringing in $54 million into the Russian economy, and the dude didn't even have to leave the country. It's a great deal, and you get no stinky tourists. You go to France now, there's piles of garbage everywhere. Tourists get drunk, kick the garbage. Do you guys see this? This is what the French people are mad about. Tourists come, we love tourists. We want them to come over. We're mad there's garbage out because they make tourists stinky. But when the tourists get drunk on our wine, which we love to sell them to, they go kick the garbage and it goes all over. This is tourist-free, $54 million. Do you think the Russian government's even going to lift a finger to stop these people? As long as they pay their 10%. Yeah, it's just like taxes.
That was actually my question, because they got brought up in an information systems audited us that they actually pay taxes on what they're
course.
stealing.
As long as the person with the gun gets their cut, they're going to say, good job. If I could break into the Kremlin and steal all of their information, do you think the U.S. federal government would come in and spank me? No. They would give me the Silver Cross. Oil. They would spank me in the good way, not the bad way. Good job. Someone had a question.
So I'm obviously naive. So there's just websites out there that you can
Of
just
course. Who has ever bought drugs?
The same folks that saw porn.
If you ever carouse with a horrible person, they'll show you that. For example, I have a large amount of money in this wallet. Some of you don't believe that. If I promised you $100, if I gave you $1,000, if you could come up with a small amount of drugs in 20 minutes, how many people in here do you think could come up with that?
40 minutes.
One marijuana joint, I will give you $1,000 cash money if you could come up with one marijuana joint. $1,000 cash money. Matt knows I've got the money.
Job Corps is way closer.
See? There you go. When I taught in Virginia, everyone's going through their bag. Just a minute. Dude, put that away. Like, dude, can we? No, not in class. You can have a drink, but no weed. Like, okay. Rubbing it out in class. So yes, there are sites. If you hang around with the wrong people, you can definitely. Do you know you can buy marijuana online? Who knows 420? Who knows what I'm talking about? There's the drug dealers. You can buy anything.
And because they're housed in Russia, there's nothing that anybody can do.
Good job.
So with all this data security breaches and things like that, how do Bitcoins and things like that play into effect? We're talking about credit cards and stuff.
Bitcoin has typically, there's a lot of great things about Bitcoin. I love it because it circumvents the US Federal Reserve, and it actually helps a lot of population escape the inflation that their governments push on them. They essentially, your currency is being devalued, and so inflation's what's the Fed interest rate inflation target? 3%. Do that by 10 years. What percentage you got? 30%. You know you're going to lose 30% of the value of your money in 10 years. Does the general population know that? No, they're just going, hey man, I'm going to go make me some money and buy me some stuff. You know you're going to lose 30% of your buying power every 10 years intentionally? And that's in the USA where the general population, oh yeah, 3% inflation, that's great, isn't it? Dude, you don't even understand. Times 10 years, that's a third of your money goes in the toilet. And that's the target. So in other countries, they can do like Venezuela. Right? 1,000% a year, 10,000% a year. What does Bitcoin do? Stop using dollars, stop using yen, yuan. I mean, stop using everything. It's great. But problem is it can be transferred digitally, so drug dealers use it. And you can transfer money and payment and value for stolen credit cards and everything. So if there's good and bad about Bitcoin.
So I guess more so what I was asking is security-wise compared to credit cards and things like that, would you know if Bitcoins are more or less secure?
Everybody thinks it's more secure, but Mt. Gox, for example, broken into, everybody lost everything. So, no. Most secure, gold. So, actual physical asset, that's your most secure, and you don't have to worry about inflation because it will never increase or decrease in what it is, right? The coin stays what a coin is, right? Dollars may go up and down in value, but any more secure? No, not necessarily. Yeah.
So this is back to the Target case here. The CEO and CIO on your slide were either fired or left. This is maybe a little different direction, but I'm curious, why does that happen when there's big scandals?
Somebody's got to be fired.
I doubt that they were up there commanding these things to be so, right? Did they just step down to help the public image or to get out of the hot seat? And what's the
Sacrificial goat, public image, and it was partially their fault. They did not allocate enough resources internally to protect their data.
How could they have known to do that, though? I mean, is somebody coming and telling them, hey,
Yes.
class.
Person like me is sitting here right now and saying you have to allocate at least 5% of your annual budget to cybersecurity. And you allocate 1. My parents, I say, lock every door in your house. You know what they do? They do not lock their doors. My mom leaves her garage open. She lost a $3,000 lawnmower. Some dude backed a truck up, rolled it. My mom's an old woman, lived in Ogden, rolled up this lawnmower right in the back of her thing. I says, you know whose fault that is, Mom? She goes, it's the criminals. I says, no, it's your fault, Mom. So why does the CIO and the CEO leave? It's their fault. Oh, they didn't steal the data. Their job is to protect the organization profitability, especially to the shareholders, and secure it. It's your responsibility. I mean, that sounds mean and rough, but there are many organizations that devote 0 to protecting their data. Half the data sets I look at, they're not, the passwords aren't even hashed. They're not even encrypted. That is negligent. I told that to the FBI, they were shocked. Like, yeah, I look at data sets every week, a couple a week. If the CEO isn't out there going, are we secure? Yep, okay, good, see ya. Oh, wait, you want another $100,000 this year? Nope. Well, it's the CEO's fault for not allocating enough. Can the CEO be an idiot and allocate too much?
Mm-hmm.
It's like life insurance. Can you buy too much insurance? Sure. You can overinsure.
And how do you know where to draw the line?
There you go. That's the billion-dollar question. You have to become knowledgeable. What are the chances you're going to get? It works just like life insurance. How much life insurance should you buy? None? Wrong. Too much? Wrong. How much is in the middle? You got to know the probabilities. Am I going to get in a car wreck? Watch this. How many people have been in a car wreck? Raise your hand. Should you buy auto insurance?
Yes.
right? Should you buy, full everything, maximum coverage on everything?
Maybe if you have a Bentley.
Super rich people, they self-insure. You don't need insurance. If you mash my car up, I just buy a new one. I don't want insurance. So the answer is you have to become more educated about the probabilities and the actual damages that are going to come to your company. That's how you learn how much to allocate. Anyway, how much did Target lose? $500 million. How much did the hackers make? 1/10 of that. So what's going to happen in data breaches? Hackers will come in, they'll steal stuff, they'll sell it for this much, and it'll cause 10 times as much damage, at least. A couple weeks ago, they got awarded damages. Did anyone see this in the news? How much? 300 million. So tack on another 300 million. It was Matt. They settled with a group of banks or whatever. I mean, the prices are going up. So we'll go real quick and we'll look at the mechanics. Bad guy. See bad guy? Bad guy spends money for malware rider as a kid in Ukraine. I was wrong. What's the northern city? It's the new city built in the 1900s. Why can't I think of it? No, I'll think of it. Northern Russian, up by Litva. I can't remember the name. But anyway, hacker pays money, gets this custom malware. And when you buy custom malware, you run it against all antivirus programs to make sure it won't show up. Some people say, oh, Target's to blame because they didn't have their antivirus up to date. Well, you dummy, you don't understand what's going on because this malware is written so it intentionally will not be registered by antivirus scanners. That's why they can pay thousands and thousands of dollars for it. This is the unique part. The hacker targeted the HVAC vendor. What's HVAC? Heating and air conditioning, right? This vendor, Fazio Mechanical Services, provided HVAC services to Target. The key here is to note that they did not target. How should I say that? They did not, how do you say that when the company's name is? They did not profile, target, or aim directly at Target. They went towards a vendor. Could bad guys target one of your vendors? Yeah. They don't go right up to the castle wall. They go for the weakest link. The weakest link in this case was this vendor. Simple phishing scam. Got login credentials to the HVAC vendor server. So they have this server where vendors go in and access Target's internal systems. How many people work for an organization where you can access another company's systems? Like you go buy stuff online from that company, right? It's very common. So my brother or sister goes and buys major appliances from like GE or LG or whatever. They go to LG's site, log in, access their internal systems, buy a truckload full of refrigerators or whatever, and get it shipped out. Yeah.
So maybe I misread the case, but from what I understood, they had turned off the function of their antivirus or of their firewall that it was blocking malware. Is that, did I read that wrong? Because what you're saying is that they created a new malware that wouldn't have been recognized by the antivirus.
That's correct. They may have turned off that function. I don't know, but it wouldn't
have mattered.
It wouldn't have mattered. No. You can buy that malware today. If you have $3,500, you can go buy it. You can get a piece of custom malware written for you.
Good to know.
Absolutely, you can. Yeah. So this hacker uses stolen credentials, gets into the vendor server, and immediately takes over another Windows server internally. This is going to be his command and control, where he's going to send out the malware to the point-of-sale terminals nationwide. Who has questions about this? Interesting, huh?
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. I have a hard enough time just accessing something on my own computer that I have the passwords and stuff for.
They're not married, and they spend all their day on computers, and they make millions of dollars at it. There's a strong motive. If you're really good at it, you can sit down and you can make millions and millions of dollars a year. It's awesome. I mean, not awesome, but. I could make a ton of cash, but I would be out of an awesome professor job. But yeah.
In your research, have you ever traced back to a hacker in Russia and seen what they look like, or seen their
Of course.
estate and what they're buying with it and stuff? That'd
Of
be
course.
kind of cool to see what they're doing with the money.
Yeah. Usually they live in squalor. I mean, usually it's all organized. It's through the organized crime. And they pay them pretty well, but they usually go blow their cash on stupid stuff. They make 50 million, but they got to pay this cut and this cut and this cut and this cut, and they get a pretty good chunk of change, but then they go blow it on whatever. I mean, it's so stupid. Yeah.
So I do have a question on this, because when the credit card debt is entered in a POS terminal, it's encrypted, right? But
In this case, it was not.
It would. So what I thought I read is that malware would, as it was being transferred, that's when it was not encrypted. Is that the
When it was
case?
transferred, it was encrypted. This used it uses a pulse RAM. I'll show you what it is. Oh, it's up there. It uses a variation of this pulse RAM. It's called a memory scraper. So you'd swipe, it'd hold your credit card memory and RAM, and then this pulse RAM would scrape it out of memory, even before it was transmitted. These point of sale terminals have memory in them, just like a RAM chip in your computer, and it's a RAM scraper.
So is it supposed to be encrypted when it's stored though, and then?
Yep.
Okay.
But this was even in memory.
But
There
this is
wasn't
before
on
it ever
hard
gets stored, it's just there temporarily, right?
That's right.
So for that 1 or 2 seconds it takes to, that's all I needed to go ahead and start.
Yes, sir.
So who's gonna win this war, the hackers or the people, the companies?
The companies will win, but the companies are going to have to become more guarded and spend more of their percentage of their budgets on protecting themselves. Really, I blame the U.S. federal government. If someone had a rifle and was shooting at you from Russia, they had a really long-range rifle, that's an act of war, man, right? They're doing the same thing electronically, and they're just massacring the U.S. companies. What does the federal government do? Sorry, they're our most favorite trading partner. Can't do anything about that. Why don't you put up blocks on the data coming in and out of the country and just block it? Oh, well, we don't want to do internet freedom. Dude, don't block email. Leave email and chat open, but block everything else. You can. I can block every single thing. For example, the state of Utah lost my wife's medical records. I says, why are you allowing any traffic from the Ukraine to hit your servers? Do you think you have a bunch of Utah natives living in Ukraine accessing Utah federal or Utah government services? Block the whole country. And you can. You can block entire ranges of entire countries. Tonga? No. Ukraine? No. China? No. No, 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 no. Are people from China currently coming to get medical care from IHC? Are they traveling every day from China to get medical care from IHC? No, they block that entire range. I mean, it's not that hard to me, yeah.
I just remember when I worked for the State Office of Education, we ended up blocking China as a whole, and it was just kind of funny. It's like, because my boss looked like, why are people in China trying to access K-12 records? There was no feasible reason, so we blocked all of it.
You know what I would block? I would block everyone except Utah. If you don't have an IP address range that's in the state of Utah, blocked.
Can you bounce it though?
Huh?
Can you
That's
bounce
what
it?
I was wondering, like, what if they bounce it off of different servers, so it seems like it's coming from California, but it's still coming from China?
They would, that's right. But you don't have to outrun the Russian bear. Who do you have to outrun?
Your neighbor.
That's right. You just have to run faster than your neighbor. You don't have to outrun the bear. If we make Utah... Haven't you guys ever heard this before? Man, we need to spend extra time on colloquialisms. So what we want to do is become harder to hack than the neighbor. So if Utah becomes just a little bit harder, yes, they could break in by daisy chaining it through servers in Utah. They could. But we would be much more difficult than, say, California. Go get those stinky hippies. Yeah.
Would the chip technology have helped to protect
Yes.
Target? It's interesting.
It would not have protected them. It would have made the hack irrelevant.
Because it was written for the sliding transit. There's still no unencryption that goes on Like it was saying that it was stored in like the active memory, that it was that 1 or 2 seconds that was in the active memory where it was kept. Even the encryption itself with the chip card.
Even if they got the numbers would have been worthless to them because you need the chip to authenticate it.
It's interesting that the chip and pin technology in Europe has been
For a long time.
and we've been aware of how beneficial it was. We were slow to coming to this. It took these hacks, this and Home Depot, I think, really kind of pushed the market over to.
Definitely.
Now we're doing the chips.
Definitely, and it is smarter. In fact, I wouldn't mind PIN.
Right.
PIN would make many consumers mad, but PIN would essentially stop all of this credit card theft. It wouldn't stop IP theft. It wouldn't stop identity theft. But credit cards would become worthless to hackers. Not worthless, but so what if you stole the number? It doesn't do you any good. Without the chip, it doesn't do you any good. Last comment, yeah.
How much inside information do they have to figure this out?
None.
They just, from the outside, completely from the outside, they figured out how to do that.
It sounds like it failed a lot too. There's just, you hit 100 stores and there may be 7 that are set up in a way that it works, but that's all it really takes.
And getting in, it's trial and error. How do burglars do it? They walk through the parking lot lifting handles, right? Open, nope, locked, open, oh, here's a car, and they jump right in. They just get the IP range and they go bing, 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 and I'm in, and they're in. Yeah.
How does the chip card work with online purchases? Like does that protect it?
It's dangerous. Online merchants can't do it unless they give you a reader.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess speaking of that, so Visa and MasterCard have products that are verified by Visa where it uses some other, form of authentication to prevent online fraud. But
Yeah, they have to figure something else out. It would actually be great if your bank sent you out a reader and then they could actually get the market, or what'll probably end up is you put it in your phone and your phone can access it and then you get safe. But anyway, after the malware sat here, recorded all the credit cards, went to another server they took over inside an extraction server. And this takes a long time to take over these servers, a couple days at least. It would ball up here and then it would be sent to drop servers in Russia, Brazil, and Miami, these three cities. Well, it's 2 countries in a city, and then it was taken by the hackers.
What does it take to compromise the extraction server or the Windows server?
No, you can rent them from Amazon.
Well, no, so did they just cycle through passwords to get in? How did they?
Oh, these extractions, or this one?
The extraction server.
Oh, there's usually a weakness in the operating system. So once they're into this, they just ping the whole internal network to figure out which servers are available. They'll get a list of 50 internal servers, and then they'll run a simple piece of software. We run it in the security class. It's called Nessus. Bing, and then they use Metasploit, and it'll tell you all the weaknesses. You just hit go. It'll access right the hard drive, and then you just start dumping stuff on. Very, very easy to do. Has anybody used Metasploit before? Easy, right? Embarrassingly. You just aim it at the computer, type in the IP address, hit go, and then you just hit access the hard drive, and you can just start dumping stuff on the hard drive. It takes 5 minutes max. It's embarrassing once you learn how to do it. There you go. Yeah.
You had mentioned that those cards were going for 78 cents up to like $2 to $3 for verified. I was reading in
averages.
I was reading in one of the articles, and I don't know if these numbers were correct or if I even read it right, but it says $18 to $35.
Those are for accounts.
Range?
Those are for bank accounts.
Okay, gotcha. Not for the card. And
it's a total supply and demand issue. So this is why the hackers on this data took almost 3 to 5 months to spread, because that spread the data out. So if I take all the strawberries from my field and I go dump them in one grocery store, guess what? The price goes way down, right? To like pennies per card. So what they had to do is they put a chunk, and then they wait, and then they put another chunk, and wait, and then another chunk, and another chunk. So they had to spread it out. And they knew that the big group that they had, it was depreciating. So they have to balance. Oh, I've got all these strawberries in my field. How do I get them to market fast enough? So they're just like grocers, man, and farmers. It's really weird. It was funny to see him try to balance how much the cards were worth while the big group was depreciating. So they were trying to rush into the market but not flood the market. It's funny.
Was the depreciation caused by consumers being aware and now they were taking action with the financial institutions to swap out cards? What was causing the depreciation of the value of the cards that they
Yeah,
had?
exactly.
Yeah.
So Visa sits there and does correlation analysis, and once they see too many cards coming from so these stolen cards keep coming up, stolen, and then they do correlation analysis amongst all the purchases, and they see that lo and behold, these 5,000 cards all had purchases at Target within this 2-week range. Guess what? Target had a data breach. And then MasterCard, Visa, and all of them levy this fine of $300 million against them. And then they start saying, okay, anyone who bought anything from Target within this 2 to 3 week range, all of those cards are compromised. And they start telling users, bad, issue them new cards. So the hackers got a certain amount of time, they gotta get rid of these cards.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so are we gonna talk about our own personal computers and things of that, or smaller in nature?
Sure.
Because
I don't want to take up too much time out of your class, though.
My credit, card's only worth 98 cents. Tim's was not worth onesies. Or is it worth onesies to someone if they can pull enough? Or
Yes.
Keyboard strokes, and then you can find out anything comes past after user ID. Save that and then.
Yeah, correct. So your individual credit card is worth nothing to them.
Right.
They will not target you individually. They will target companies with large numbers of credit cards. And now it's less likely for that to happen for credit cards. They're really shifted towards intellectual property and identity theft, specifically hospitals. Hospitals are the new hot target because hospitals have weaker security and they have all the credit card information anyway. In smaller amounts. Target had 100 million. IHC, a couple million. Still, that's pretty good. And you can do identities, which sell for a lot. Yeah.
So does LifeLock and stuff like that really do anything?
No, I've looked at a dozen different identity protection services. There's no standards in them. Some will just do monitoring. Some will do deactivation of your credit. Some will actively try to fix it. There's no standards amongst them. Some are better than others, but you got to get into the nitty gritty and actually start seeing what they do, how much they charge, and they're not transparent.
There's one thing I think, just being nice in this case, but what if somebody hacks that? All of a sudden they have all the information too.
That would be awesome if they did. They would go out of business probably. I don't know. But in general, they're good services if they can monitor, shut down, and then remediate and try to help fix your credit. That would be awesome. But not all of them do that. So you have to be really leery. And so like there was a data breach from Anthem, and they said, hey, we're giving you this free credit service, and it wasn't that great of a service. Like, well, we just got to offer them something. Like, give me the cheapest one you can offer. And it did almost nothing. I was like, what a bunch of jerks. And I told them, I was like, this is crappy service. Well, they're offering us something. Sue them. And they did. And they are getting hundreds of millions of dollars out of it. Anyway, this is what you can do to protect yourself. And in the security class, I'm going over just a minute. I'm quitting any second. You can put Web of Trust. Who's ever heard of Web of Trust? Not a single person in here. It's an add-in, a plug-in you put into your browser. I'll show it to you in just a minute. It keeps you from hitting sites that have malware on them. And if you can prevent from hitting these sites that have malware on them, then you keep from getting the viruses that will sit on your computer and collect your personal information. If the another good thing is to cancel your credit cards once a year. I cancel my credit cards once every year. I just call them in stolen. They send me out a new credit card. I do it every year. So I get a new number every single year. It's a great practice. It costs the bank a little more money, right?
Yeah, that's all right.
Oh, you hate Boyle. Boyle, you sucker. But guess what? It's okay. You just write it off and charge me back anyway.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm costing you a little more money, but it's not that big of a deal.
Just keep spending money.
Exactly. Interest rate.
Yeah.
You can actually set up all your own credit alerts. Do not buy from unreputable vendors. Try to get your chip and PIN. And even though it's slightly aggravating to use the chip and PIN card, it's okay. Just get used to it. We're not going back. Once my magnetic one comes in from America First, I'm not going to go back. It won't happen. There's nothing we can do about it anyway. Yeah.
I've started to see a lot more people for merchants using, those squares like on your phone or iPads. What are your thoughts on those?
Mixed. There's not a clear winner in the domain yet. I had one person that got on tracks and they stood too close to the reader and it charged them. And they were a student and they get a ride for free, but their credit card got too close to the reader and it actually charged their reader, and this person was really mad. So it's a developing technology. Through your phone is a really great technology, but I don't know if I would trust. I don't know if I would trust it on my phone. I know your phone's essentially a computer, and I know what you can do to a computer nowadays, but still it's only $50 maximum, even if they steal your credit card. I'd much rather use a credit card than a debit card. People that use debit cards, boy, what's wrong with you? If they steal your credit card, how much are you liable for? Max $50, and I've only heard of one person that ever had to pay the $50. Use your credit card. Do not pay off your balance every month. Do not pay interest, but don't use your debit card. My wife used her debit card a couple times the other day at a dance studio, and I just let her have it. What's wrong with you? She's like, what's wrong with you? I says, I'm going to cut all your cards up if you use a debit card again. She's like, what's wrong with debit cards? I said, you know. And then change your password, and I do a whole lecture on passwords. I gave this presentation at the FBI. Make sure you have a good password. Don't cross-pollinate your passwords, because passwords are getting stolen from so many different organizations. Don't use the same or similar passwords across organizations, because hackers steal one and then they use mangling rules to find out what's similar to it. And I know, because this is what my research area is. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on like password vaults, like using the master password?
They're good if you can use them and you trust that company.
Is KeePass a good one?
Like KeePass is one of the most common ones.
LastPass?
LastPass is the other. Those are the two big. If you trust that company. I am ultra paranoid, so I don't trust them. I keep a text file encrypted on my hard drive, and I use third-party encryption, 7-zip, super easy to do. So I don't trust anybody, but that's me. Mostly because I look at 500 million stolen records a year. People are like, can I have your phone number? No. Can I have your address? No. Can I have your zip code? No. Get over it. Who knows what I'm talking about? My name is no. Nobody knows?
Well, it's like if you go to Radio Shack, they ask for your phone number if you buy batteries.
You guys not know this song?
Yeah.
My name is no. My number is no. Get over it. You guys got to listen to better music. Better music equals better security. Thank you for letting me down.
Parting swag.
We'll have access to those slides.
Yeah, sure. They want the slides.
Okay, great. You'll get them to me? Yes. Encrypted?
Thank you for the
Happy-
swag.
happy writing.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to go right. Thank you for the swag. Thank you, everybody.
All right. See you, Randy. All right, let's take 5 and come back in.
Caesar's Palace on Saturday. Child,
They're all meeting and like their colleges. So we're just going to combine one person oh, good call. Good move. Good move. Give her my guy.
Down like
I'll let her know.
Yeah. Big guy comes with like 4.5 courses. Well, there's no engine. There's a new engine. pins that is added, it's dangerous, but you can just get an option, there's no drip. Yeah, I use it solid.